sister just rejected her boyfriend's marriage proposal because he wanted her to stop being my caretaker because I'm disabled. But I begged her to choose him. I'm a disabled 21-year-old male. I live with my older sister who's 27. I've been a paraplegic since I was a kid as a result of an accident. Our remaining parent, our dad, is pretty old and sick. He's in an old folks home. My sister takes me to see him occasionally. My sister is pretty much my full-time carer. She has her own job which she works to support both of us, and when she's not on her job, she's usually taking care of me. She's had a very serious boyfriend for 9 years. They've been in a relationship since she was 18. It's always been a very serious relationship as far as I can tell. He's a really good guy and he's always been nice to me. He also hasn't shied away from offering financial help once in a while. I know my sister has always dreamt of marriage. We talk about it so much, me and her, ever since we were kids. We do play weddings. She would always imagine the day she would get married, spend hours looking at bridal dresses. Even as an adult, he would fantasize about getting married and spend a lot of the time looking at bridal dresses, talking about her dream wedding, what kind of house she'd like to have. She had names picked out for the kids since she was a kid herself, and she's always stuck with those names. So yeah, she's always dreamed of getting married and having a family for a long time. Her current boyfriend has been with her for so long and has been so good to her, I figured he would always be the one to marry her. And I'd be happy for her. Finally she'd have someone to take care of her instead of her having to take care of me all the time. Well, that all came crumbling down. She returned home one day a complete mess, crying and pouring her eyes out all over the place. She told me they'd broken up. It was over. She was so sad, oh so sad. It was heartbreaking to see. It was like a dagger in my heart to see her crying and upset like that, and I felt so useless cause all I could offer were meaningless words. She wouldn't tell me why. I figured she just didn't want to talk about it. After a few days, she still didn't want to talk about. She was still incredibly upset, crying a lot. I told her I'm her brother. I may be physically disabled, but my heart and mind still work perfectly. She can talk to me about anything. Very reluctantly and with pushing, she opened up about it. She told me her boyfriend had proposed to her. I told her that's excellent. Why did they break up? She had always wanted to get married and had been waiting years for this. She told me they had talked about it, and her boyfriend wanted her to move in with him. They would find a separate carer for me to look after. They would still see me occasionally, but I would not visit them, and my sister would no longer be my carer at all. My sister told me she couldn't accept that, and that was the offer on the table as her boyfriend wanted it. She said she couldn't accept it. They couldn't reconcile their different wants, and they broke up. I told her she's crazy. She should have chosen her boyfriend. I know she loved him so much and he was crazy about her. She should have gone and gotten married. She can stay tied to me forever. She should live her own life and have her own family. She was still crying heavily, and she told me she realized that she would never be able to have that. All that stuff she wanted as a kid, to be a bride, have a wedding, have a family, none of it would ever happen. She would be taking care of me forever. I insisted to her, telling her she didn't need to take care of me forever. She should live her own life. She said no, that's what she wants, that's the way it has to be. She would have it no other way. When I kept insisting, she said no, that's it, she's in charge. She makes her own life decisions and I should stop telling her how to live her life. She got angry at me and I quickly apologized. She said it's okay, but I could tell she was really upset and in a bad mood. Why is she doing this to herself? I don't understand. Doesn't she see that I don't want her to sacrifice herself like this? Why did she just give up her boyfriend of 9 years like that? She loved him so much and he loved her, so why did she just push him away like that? Why is she hurting herself like that? I don't want her to be hurting herself just for my sake. I never asked her to make this sacrifice of herself. I told her I wouldn't mind getting another carer for me. She said no, it's her, it has to be her, it's her job, it's her duty to me and to our family. She has to take care of me always. She wouldn't have it any other way no matter how much I tried to reason. I hate myself so much right now. I've never hated being disabled more than right now in my life. I feel like a baby or something, like a useless animal. I feel like a ball and chain, like a burden tying her down to the ground and preventing her from living her own life. All I want her to do is to be happy and live her life and be happy and beautiful on her wedding day like she's always wanted, not stuck forever taking care of her disabled brother. I wish I could just die to free her of her burden. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't seriously considered just killing myself so she could finally be free and pursue her own life. I'm not just saying that, I'm serious. I know she'd mourn me for a while, even a few years, but after that she'd move on and get married and live her life like she's always wanted. It might be the only way she ever knows true happiness. I tried to convince her, but she seems determined to bog herself down like this. I don't understand. She's not being reasonable. She's not looking out for what's best for herself. Why is she doing this? How can I get her to focus on herself and her own life? Please guys, help me out. How can I talk some sense into her? How can I convince her to put her needs ahead of my own and to go focus on her life mainly so she can live the life she's always wanted instead of being chained down to me? How can I convince her of this? Please help, I feel so desperate and sad for her. Comment where Op has replied, got_caught. Can you contact a social worker to work as a mediator between the two of you? So that you can get the care you need but still maintain a relationship with her in which she is just your sister, not your carer? Oop, absolutely, there are many options. I discussed it with her and told her I could easily find programs that would provide a carer, albeit with added expenses, so my sister no longer has to be my carer and she can go and live her own life. She wasn't interested. She is absolutely stubborn and determined. She seems to have it stuck in her head that she has to be my carer permanently. I don't know why. Update. Okay, so this is an update to the post I made 2 nights ago. I just want to first of all say thank you so much to all those of you who posted extremely kind and heartwarming comments. That was amazing of you. Thank you so much. I'm also feeling much better now. I understand things much clearer and talked it over with my sister. It seems I was confused and in the heat of the moment there was a lot of misunderstanding. I have talked it all over with my sister, and we are both feeling much better and brighter now, and we agree things may have turned out for the best. I now realize, after my sister explained it to me, that he was not right for her, even though they had been together so long. I guess the length of their relationship had left me with a false impression. Firstly, as my sister explained it, it seems he didn't say I couldn't visit at all, as I had thought she meant, but that I just couldn't visit whenever I wanted to. They'd set times and schedules for when I could visit to ensure I wasn't over all the time interrupting and interfering with their lives. However, it seems my sister didn't like this at all. She said she realized her boyfriend had a problem with me, and wanted to place some distance between her and me, and she wasn't okay with that at all. I told her I thought she loved him. She said she thought she did too, but she knows her priorities in life, and she is old enough and mature enough to be able to decide what she wants from life and what her priorities are. I told her I thought she'd always wanted to get married and have children and a family ever since she was young. She explained to me, she still does to a certain extent, but only if the conditions are right. She said that she was a different person when she was younger. Now that she's older, her ideals and priorities had changed. She said that if she does get married, it's basically like what one commenter described as a package deal. I'd have to be included in the family too, and I'd have to live them and be part of their family full time. She said if any potential husband couldn't accept that, then he could get stuffed and she didn't want him. That's basically what she thinks of her now ex-boyfriend, and she said she feels much more positive about her future now that he's gone. She said while she was with him, she was always feeling unsure about what the future held in relation to her and me, but now that she's made her firm decision, she knows she'll never let go of me. I asked her, what if this means that she'll never get married? What if it means that she never ends up finding a guy who's okay with all this and is willing to settle down with her with me in the fray? She said if that's the case, then so be it. As she explained it, she basically said I'm her family now, I exist and I'm the most important thing to her. She won't sacrifice me for a hypothetical husband and hypothetical children who don't yet exist but may one day. She said priority number 1 for her will always be me and taking care of me throughout my life and disability. She couldn't imagine living her life without it. I told her, but didn't she feel she was severely limiting herself by chaining herself to me? Didn't she feel she was severely restricting her opportunities in life and what she could become? She explained that her years with me and taking care of me had helped form part of her identity. Taking care of me now is part of her identity and character. It's one of the things she lives for. I found that amazing, but she said she could have it no other way. I provide to her just as much as she provides to me, she said, and perhaps even more. I told her she was exaggerating, but she insisted it was absolutely true. She explained how the mere fact of her looking after me, and her taking care of me, day in, day out, brings so much joy and happiness to her life. She doesn't know how she could ever live without it, and to her it's so much more important than the possibility of having a husband or children. I found it difficult to wrap my head around that. I joke that I really can't imagine that it's always that fun, especially when she's, say, wiping shit from my ass or something. She just laughed and explained how sometimes something that can superficially seem gross, disgusting or painful can still be beautiful and cherished when you look at the love involved. She used the example of a mother giving birth. After 9 months of sickness and swollen body, she has her body ripped open, there's blood everywhere, screaming and crying, and it's the most intense physical pain of her life. But at the end of it all, it's still beautiful because it's an act of love and she endures all that pain to bring to life someone whom she will love forever. So yes, even acts like wiping shit from my ass, as gross and disgusting as it may seem to some, is in of itself an act of love and an example of how much she, as a sister, cherishes me as her brother, and the lengths she will go to as a result of that relationship. And that, I think, is beautiful and true love. So now I have a completely new outlook on her and our life. It's much more positive and I no longer see myself as a burden or a chain. She helped me realize my own self-worth and value. I'm not just some disabled guy in a wheelchair that needs help. I'm a brother and I provide love, friendship and value to this amazing, beautiful, kind-hearted woman I am so proud to call my sister. I no longer have any thoughts about ending my life at all, because I realize how much I am worth to her and how much I mean to her, and how much it would hurt her if I do that, and I could never bear to do that. So I just thought I'd share that update with you all, after all those incredibly warm and supportive comments you gave me were so uplifting. I can honestly say, even though I may be physically disabled, I consider myself to have this amazing gift because I'm blessed with love, and this love is the most amazing thing in the world. I can't imagine living without it. Thank you all so very much. Next story, boyfriend's female boss used to be his roommate and everyone said they hooked up. Now she's trying to transfer him across the country against his will. Hey everyone. My boyfriend, Lee, and I have been together for 2 years. We've been living together for 1. Before we moved in together he was living with a friend from work, Kim. In the very beginning of our relationship, 1 to 2 months in, I was approached by a lot of his coworkers telling me that Lee and Kim used to hook up a lot. That, of course, made me feel uncomfortable. And instead of being an adult and talking about it with him, I got drunk one night and had a breakdown. Not my finest moment, and I've apologized to both him and Kim about my behavior. Lee assured me nothing ever happened between them and that it was just workplace gossip. I completely believe him, and, even if he did sleep with her, it's in the past and he's completely committed to me. After we moved in together his contact with Kim dwindled to just the workplace and occasional get-together with mutual friends. Unfortunately, Kim was not so forgiving about my little immature moment. I didn't have the breakdown in public or around Kim, but Lee did tell her about it for some reason. I wasn't too happy about that, but I made it a point to try and take Kim out to lunch and drinks and apologize. I thought all was well, but apparently it's not. Over the last 2 years Kim has been nothing but awful to me. If we're all out to dinner she ignores me, rolls her eyes if I start speaking, will cut in front of me as I'm speaking to people like I'm not even there. Whatever. I get it. I try to be nice, but I'm not her biggest fan either. What has really set me off is the fact that Kim is above Lee in management and is in charge of expansion. She has approached Lee multiple times about going to open a new branch of the company in a city that is a 3-hour flight from where we live. Now, opening a new branch for this company requires the person to live in that new city for at least 2 years. And she has put Lee's name in the running even though he has told her straight up he does not want to go. I'm fucking livid and, surprisingly, he is, too. But he doesn't see it as a slight towards me, just that she'd like someone experienced to open the new branch. And he's the most experienced in the company to do it, so it could be that, but, I don't know, I feel there's another motive as well. After all of this Lee still wants me to try and be friends with her. I have told him that a friendship between us just isn't in the mix. I've tried everything to get her to like me, thrown her surprise birthday parties, moved her into a new apartment while she went back to her home state for an emergency. I even bought her a tour at her favorite distillery, all to no avail. I'm done trying. I've told him that I, in no way, want him to stop his friendship with her, but I would rather he not talk about our relationship with her, and that I'd rather not be in a room with her / have dinner with her unless there isn't a sizable crowd where I can pretend she's not there. I can deal with her at birthday / holiday events, but besides that, I really don't want to be around her. He's obviously hurt that we can't seem to get along and he keeps trying to push me to be her friend. Apparently he still thinks that she needs more time to get to know me and see how sorry I was about a mistake I made 2 years ago that I've tried so hard to correct. So, my question is, how do I get Lee to understand that Kim and I will never be friends and that I really just don't want to be around her if I can manage it? Comment where Op has replied, Scooter Magooter, how bad was the blowout? Were you yelling? Throwing things? Hitting? That may have a lot to do with why she is being so cold to you. Oop, not bad. I got mad and screamed at him, but she wasn't home. I didn't throw anything or hit anyone. Just a lot of drunken crying and yelling. Update, so it wasn't really popular and I didn't really respond in the thread, but I did read all the responses. I appreciate the time people took to reply and give their advice, as well as the people who DM'd me and really helped me figure out the situation. So, to start off, I talked to Lee to really get down to whether or not he did sleep with Kim. He swore, again, that it never happened and he would have no reason to hide it if it did. I asked him if maybe Kim had a thing for him that he didn't know about, and he thought about it and figured it could be true. I told him again why I didn't want to be her friend and how I didn't like the way she treated me. He wasn't aware of how bad it was, so I asked him to make a conscious effort to try and be more aware when we're hanging out together. He's very aloof about a lot of things, makes me glad I made the first move in the relationship, so a week goes by and a couple of his buddies from work want to go out to dinner. We agree, and when we show up, Kim is there. She hugs Lee but then ignores me. I thought Lee missed it until he looked at me and gave me a raised eyebrow. Dinner goes on and Kim is doing her usual thing of ignoring me, rolling her eyes when I talk or just rudely interrupting me. When she went to the bathroom, Lee turned to me and said, "I definitely see it and I'm so sorry." So that was really nice to hear. As dinner was winding down, one of Lee's coworkers gets up to make a toast. He goes on and on about Lee being such a hard worker and how they're going to miss him when he moves to the new branch. I was shocked, so I just said, "What?" Without realizing I said it aloud. Lee was just as shocked and told them that he hadn't taken the job and he didn't want the job. That's when Kim said that he was one of the top 3 picked to go down. Lee was pissed. He got up to go get another drink and I went with him. When he found out that Kim put his name in the running, he went to the higher-ups and told them it was a mistake and that he was not interested. Which means Kim must have found out and talked the bosses into putting his name back in the running. We ended up leaving early and going home. I told him I'd support him if he wanted to go, but he is very much against going. He now sees why I didn't want to be friends with her and why my assumptions about her were completely true. He went back to work on Monday and asked to be moved to a new department that's not under Kim. He went to HR about Kim overstepping her boundaries, and he's even thinking about finding a new job where he doesn't have to interact with her. I'm so glad he finally saw what I saw and he's completely done with Kim. I'm excited to see how losing her will help improve our relationship in the future, and he promises to be more aware of how his friends treat me and to respect my wishes / not force a friendship on me if I don't want it. Comments where Op has replied, "Lost, sad, confused 11. Now that your husband has taken back all control from her, you need to take steps and protect yourself in case she lashes out. Make sure you lock down your social media and block her everywhere so she can't see what you're up to. Check locks on your doors and consider installing security cameras in case she goes full psycho, since she knows where you live. If she is his manager, she has access to a lot of your husband's personal info, including DOB and possibly SSN. Keep tabs on all your accounts and make sure she doesn't misuse that info to put him at risk of identity theft. It's good that your husband talked to HR, so hopefully she can't do much damage at work. He still needs to be vigilant though, and avoid being one-on-one with her in case she tries to accuse him of something. I know I sound paranoid, but with her level of crazy, it's better to be safe than sorry. Oop, definitely didn't think about any possibility that she could go postal, but you're right, we should be aware and be ready for anything just in case. I might ask that we get security cameras that we can take with us because we plan on moving to a new place in a couple of months. I'll definitely let him know to keep an eye on his personal stuff and keep checking in with HR if he notices any difference in her behavior at work." Pananana, wait, they're ex-roommates, and she's his boss? Were they roommates first, or co-workers first? Oop, they started at the company at the same time and became friends as co-workers. Then they moved in together and became roommates. After a couple of months, Kim went out for a promotion and got it. That's how she became his boss. _y'all, those hookup rumors. Did Kim start them? Oop, I'm assuming they did. Or other people. It's hard for some people to see two attractive, single people of opposite genders living together and not think they're hooking up.